At first glance, the numerator and the denominator of this rational expression do not appear to have any common factors. The binomial x minus 5 is not the same as x minus 5. However, these two binomials are opposites or additive inverses of each other. Thus, we can find a common factor by factoring out -1 in either of the expressions. And let's factor out a -1 in the numerator. Since this doesn't look normal, the denominator looks normal, having the variable first followed by the constant term. So factoring out a -1 is like dividing each term by -1. It'll change a positive into a negative and a negative into a positive. We can do the distributive property then to verify. -1 times -5 is the positive 5. -1 times positive x is a negative x. So we do have an equivalent expression. And if you aren't seeing that this binomial is the same as the binomial in the denominator, let's use the commutative property to switch these two terms around. Addition can be in either order, so we'll put x followed by the -5 in the numerator. And now, looking clearly, we have the common factor of x minus 5 over itself, which is equal to 1. Simplifying further, -1 times 1 is -1 for our final answer. In the next problem, these are not the same binomial, so we need to factor out the largest common factor to simplify this rational expression. And if we just go straight in, looking at the numerator, there's a common 2. Factoring out a 2 leaves a 2 minus 3x. In the denominator, largest common factor is x, leaving 3x minus 2. Well, the factor of 2 and x aren't common, but these binomials are the same as the previous example. They are opposites or additive inverses. If I had recognized that to begin with, I could have factored out a -2 in anticipation of these being opposites of one another and then been ready to factor. No problem. One more step, we'll factor out a -1 here out of this binomial. The -1 times the 2 will leave a -2 as our factor out here. Dividing or factoring out a -1 leaves a -2. Here it'll switch the sign to a positive 3x over the factored form in the denominator of the following. And again, like we did in the last problem, commutative property says that this -2 plus 3x is equivalent to 3x minus 2, which is what we have in the denominator. Common factors over one another cancel out, equaling 1. And 1 times -2 over x leaves our final simplification of this rational expression of -2 over x. If you recognize that you have opposites, you can go directly to a -1 once you become familiar with having factors that are opposite.